Hello, I am ZHAO Chuang. When drawing the body of Wuerhosaurus, we must first pay attention to the proportions of its various body parts when drafting. For example, if we take the tip of the nose to the end of the tail as a line segment, we should be aware of where its torso stops, what the approximate ratio of the front half of the body to the back half is, and what the height should be. After determining these, it will be easier to go deeper and draw details of each part. Besides the general proportions, we should also consider the local proportions when depicting each part. Its forelimbs were extremely short, and its pelvis was very long. Viewed from the side, its pelvis, especially the upper ilium, was quite long. Its torso was short, and its neck was elongated. We try to include and present these features in this drawing. Now, let's get started. Compose the picture and set a few spots first. We put its mouth on the left and its tail on the right. Then, let's roughly divide its body into several segments. Here is the base of its tail. Its neck was quite long. This segment represents its neck. Then, we draw its various parts along the approximate range. First, we draw the overall shape of its head. Draw a very light line representing the length of its head. Then, based on the typical stegosaurians, we draw its head in a slender shape. There was a tiny beak in front of the mouth, and the entire opening of its mouth was very large, extending all the way to the underside of the eyes. Draw one eye at this position. Since its eyes were tiny, we can use crescent-shaped strokes to show this eye slightly. There were lateral temporal fenestrae behind the eyes and nostrils in front. Its head had many relatively large scales. We use some dots to represent them. The rear of its head is about here. Add a little shade at the corner of the mouth. You can also add a little shade on the lower jaw. Then, draw a little wrinkle at the corner of the mouth. Here is its ear. Its head is almost finished. When outlining its body, we can start with dotted lines because it has bony plates. The dorsal side of the neck stops here. Its pelvis is situated at this part of the back. When viewed from the side, the pelvis is slightly tilted backward. When drawing this outline, pay attention to the fact that the entire back is a curvature. Then, draw the lower part of its neck. Its throat may be more drooped because many relatively large and hard bony plates existed in this position of the stegosaurians. Its chest is here. Then, let's draw the position of its shoulder blades. The shoulder blades were wrapped in muscles with its arms at the base. The upper and lower arms were both short. Its forelimbs were extremely short. It had 5 fingers. We can draw the front 2 pointed as they had nails. The rear 3 can be rounded and small. Then, draw the arm on the other side. Draw some folds on the back of the arms. Roughly outline its belly. Then, draw its legs. The thighs of the hind limbs are linked to the body, so we use some folds to represent the skin boundary on the belly. They start to be separated from here, at this spot just above the knee. The lower leg can be drawn independently. The calves were also relatively short. The calves of stegosaurians were much shorter than their thighs. Let's draw the other leg. For the leg on this side, we can draw its calf as if it pushes backward. Make a slight mark on the position of the ankle. Then, draw its ischium, followed by its tail. We use a horizontally curved S shape for the tail to show its texture. Then, pinpoint the positions of its bony plates on the dotted line. The junction between the root of the bony plates and the skin can be represented by a solid line. Draw a set of straight lines, short line segments along this direction. Next, let's draw its bony plates from the largest ones, which become smaller and shorter as moving forward. When coming to the neck, they become narrower and narrower, close to the shape of the human palms. When drawing, pay attention to presenting the gradual changes of these bony plates. Because the tail was relatively flexible, the bony plates here can also be drawn relatively narrow. The closer to the tail end, the narrower the bony plates were. We have just finished the bony plates on one side. Let's draw those on the other side, in the gap between every two bony plates. We can directly use shading to depict the sense of distance. The bony plates on this side will cast a shadow on the bony plates on the other side. Sometimes, the bony plate will block only half of the opposite one, so we don't need to color the whole bony plate black on the other side. Just cast a bit of shadow on the part closer to this side. On the far distanced bony plates, let's draw some decorative stripes on the surface to darken the overall color and make it look more shaded. Next, draw its tail spikes. There were 4 spikes at the end of its tail. We first draw the 2 on this side. Then, show the muscles on the tail. A groove extending from the top of the pelvis divided the tail muscles into the upper and lower groups. We can also slightly show the muscles on its neck. The belly could droop a little more, giving it the pot-bellied feel of a herbivore. Then, use some folds to outline its ribs. Then, let's use a somewhat light line to draw the stripes on the surface of the bony plates on this side. The stripe strokes on the bony plates can be drawn lighter. The density of these strokes should differ from that on the opposite bony plates, and the overall color should be lighter. Draw some shading on the abdomen. The underside of the whole body can be slightly shaded. Apply these strokes flexibly and try to use curved lines as much as possible. The upper part of the neck muscles was relatively soft, and many folds would appear at the root of the neck. The same goes for the base of the arm. There were many folds on the front and back of the elbows, as well as on the wrists, similar to many large animals today, such as elephants. We can also add some shadow to the arm on the other side, and slightly show its muscle structure. The hind limbs can also be shaded. At the ankles, we can depict the feeling of a sphere here. Then, draw the muscles on the thighs and calves. We can also draw the cast shadow on the ground. No need to draw too much, just a little will do. The lines can be as flexible as possible. We can present the texture of the earth at the same time. Don't forget to draw the typical gular armor on the neck of stegosaurians. We can use rows of dots, arranged in a line on the gular armor to show that large scales here are in neat distribution. On the side of its body, let's draw some large scales interspersed with small ones. These large scales were irregularly and evenly distributed on the sides of its body. Finally, we show the tail spikes on the other side. Good. In this way, we've finished drawing this Wuerhosaurus.